Welcome everyone to another unboxing. Today it's Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's the core box set and it's by Atomic Mass Games. So I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty excited about this. A little bit behind the times with it because I wasn't going to get into it because very much like yourselves, you probably don't have a lot of hobby time and you need to prioritise what games you want to play. And I wanted to concentrate on one or two games. I'm like, I'm not going to play it. If I play it, I'm going to be hooked. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it. Yeah, I played it. I'm hooked. So yeah. So this box, I've got rid of all the shinies. And you can see the artwork on the front. Now the first thing you diehard fans might notice is the artwork on the front is comic book style, not MCU. As in not the films. So you notice that Doc Ock, for example, is more of a cartoon style. I'll turn it over. And what do we get in the box? So in the box, like I said, we have 10 models. So we have Doc Ock, Captain Marvel, Ultron, Spidey, or one of the variants of Spidey. There'll be several different Spider-Mans in the game. Crossbones, the Red Skull, which is one of my favourite models, as you can probably tell. Black Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, and I imagine there's going to be quite a few of them eventually out. And Baron Zemo. So, we have 10 characters, 10 bases, and if you notice the bases aren't flat, they're quite cinematic bases as well. The Daily Bugle, so you do get terrain in this box as well, which we'll come into later on, as in you can throw the terrain around, which is always nice. 2 cars, 2 dumpsters, 2 traffic lights, 2 lampposts, 170 tokens, 20 team tactics cards, 3 map cards, 2 different affiliation cards, 10 character stat cards. It's pretty handy. For having 10 characters, you might want stat cards for them. 6 crisis cards, 3 movement tools, 4 range tools, 1 learn to play, and 10 dice. So it's 2 players, ages 14 plus, but I'm sure, you know, it's not graphic violent, so I'm sure a few younger players can easily pick it up. It's more the fact that the rules are not that complex, so I think 10-year-olds plus can pick it up quite easily. Apparently the game is anywhere from 90 to 120 minutes. I'm sure I can break that with my indecisions. So, let's open the box. It's never been opened before, people. Oh, and it's tight. I only mention that purely because when you put it down, you know it's going to make a farting noise. So, we'll get to this shiny book in a minute. We'll get to the cards in a minute. So that's 10 cards for the 10 different characters. They weren't lying about all the tokens. It's a lot of tokens, which we'll get into. Now, obviously the terrain and miniatures do not come assembled or painted. I mean, where would be the fun in that, right? Some models. So let's see. There's crossbones on the back, and I got a bit confused because when I turn it over, I can see that crossbones is looking good in knee-high boots. So I'm assuming that must be Black Widow. There's Ultron and some terrain. Some basics, like I said. The bases are looking pretty cool. So manhole cover, some cracked pavements and whatnot. Drains and gutters. There's a vehicle to pick up. Now you notice there is a 2 on the bottom of that vehicle. So that's the size. So lampposts and things like that would be size 1. The building comes in this set anyway, to size 3. Dice. And cards. So where to begin? Where should we start? So I think we should start at the cards. So yes, this is a miniatures game, but you'll have a card for each model. So far, funny enough, you have one for Baron Zemo, one for Black Widow, one for Captain Marvel, etc. Now you'll notice that most cards in this pack, all cards, but most cards in this game, have a front and back. One is the non-damaged variant, and one is after they've taken a few hits. So I say most cards because I know full well Hulk, who isn't in this game, doesn't get the injured profile. He's a 20 wound model, I believe, and he's in the game pretty much forever. So he doesn't ever get flipped over to this side. Now, the basic stats are health, that section there. See the little heartbeat monitor? It's health. And if they get down to 0, they cannot take any more damage. They can't produce any more actions or any counters, anything like that, because they are stunned, which means the following turn they then start off in that section. Now, most of the time the cards are the same front and back, but some models, which will go for Captain America, I believe, has 5 health there after he takes a bit of a kick in and he's stunned. He then has a 6 health profile, whereas Zemo is 5 and he's 5. So we'll go with the Cap. So, health, movement. So the movement has S, M or L, and that is how far they can move. So short, medium and long. So we have a short, so it goes from the base edge anywhere up to the back of the base there. So front of the base there, back of the base there, and of course it is articulated, so you could get around those tight bends like so. But Cap is a medium, which is like so, and there's some faster characters out there that have a long. So as you can tell, long is pretty long and articulated as well. So these aren't just plain, they have images on here as well. So for example, the medium one has some kind of cityscape with what looks like the Hulk leaping over. So Captain America can move using this stick. So you don't have to move the full amount every time. You can move up to anywhere on that line you can move. So pretty reasonable. The next symbol, which looks like something measuring height, is the height of the model. Now, why is this important? Because it's line of sight in this game. It isn't true line of sight, it's a top-down game, which means if you have a model here and a model here, if there's anything that's bigger than, let's say they're both size 2, if there's anything bigger than 2 in the way of it, you cannot see. So if you had a street lamppost or a dustbin, something between 2 models that are height 2, you can see because that's only a height 1. Which I find is pretty clear, it's pretty simple. None of that, you know, you got your head down by the table trying to see line of sight. Is that model in range? Well, I can see about 2 millimeters of it. No, none of that. Is there anything in the way? Yes. Is it smaller than? Is it bigger than? It's pretty straightforward. Also indicates how big a model is. If you're, let's say, use Hulk again for example, he can lift up pretty heavy things. He can definitely lift up a size 2. And Cap can be thrown by the Hulk, for example. So a lot of these superheroes are, that's right, super, and they have super strength. And they can lift up pretty heavy things. So, a lot of humanoids are size 2. So for example, we have Black Widow, Zemo, Captain Marvel, all size 2, all size 2, all size 2. Size 2, size 2, size 2. But, you guessed it, Ultron, being on a bigger base, being a bigger guy, and made of pretty much all metal, is a size 3. So it's going to take a bit more to shift that guy if you wanted to throw him. And the 4 on this sheet against that symbol is how much he costs. So your team can be up to 10 superheroes. Depending on the mission, you might be limited on how many points you can bring on the table. So yes, you have a list of 10 models, but you may have to drop a couple of them out to fit into the game you're playing, which we'll go into in a bit. So different mission cards, different points values. So next, I'll zoom in a bit more actually. We have the defences. So we have the physical defence, which is the fist. Fun enough, that's against physical attacks, i.e. getting punched in the face. Then we have the energy, which is this symbol here. So more like optic blast, for example, something like that. And then we have the mystic. So if you were Doctor Strange, for example, you'd probably be using that there. So that's the defense. So if someone is rolling a strike, for example, has this symbol, that's what they're using to attack you with. That's what you use to defend against. So if I was using 4 dice for a physical attack, and you're using 4 defense, we're fairly evenly matched. So then we go into these attacks that I was talking about. So strike. So anything that has, I'll use this helpful pointy thing. Anything that has this symbol means how much range. So we have a range 2. So range 2 is this size. We have a range 3. And oh golly, there's a 4. And you guessed it, there's a 5. So I will zoom out so you can see the full extent of these. So lots of close combat attacks have a range 2. You're thinking, where's range 1? Range 1 is the width. So if you wanted to measure from the tip of the base, you can do that as a 1, not that. So strike has a range 2, and I will zoom back in again. There we go. How was that? Most helpful? I thought so. And that looks like a dumbbell symbol next to. That is the weight of how many dice you are throwing. So 5 means you throw 5 dice. That symbol there is your energy symbol. So that tells you how many energy tokens you use to perform this action. Now, what's an energy token, I hear you ask? Well, energy tokens are tokens that you gain if you inflict damage, or if you've taken damage, or once per turn at the beginning. Everybody gets 1 in a way. So you might want to stockpile these, keep these up. There are other ways of gaining them. Certain characters can give you them for free and boost you. So you'll keep those to one side and use them for your bigger attacks. So this attack here and this attack here do not cost any energy to use. But certain attacks, like this strike here, will also give you energy for every damage dealt. So that tiny little symbol there, I will bring it in closer. Tiny little symbol there is the damage dealt symbol. So it's like a slash, like Wolverine's attacked you. And there's often additional effects that happen with attacks. For example, Cap can push a model if he wanted to. Shield throw has more range, so 4, but you notice it has less dice, 4, not 5. So, when talking about dice, yes, these things here, they are 8-sided dice. I'll pan out a little bit. Doesn't work unless you made the noise. So, blank dice, they're fairly bad. They're blank, right? That's pretty bad. But certain characters can change blank dice with some of their abilities. But you'll find that skulls are worse than a miss. Skulls are a dice you often cannot change to a hit. So certain characters might go, I can change blanks into hits, but you'll find it's nearly next to impossible to change skulls into something. So there's a miss, and then there's a critical miss, I guess you would call it. Then you have your successes, your hits. A defend, if you're defending, that's always good. And a wild. So wild generally gives you something pretty cool. So for example, we have ricochet. That's a wild symbol. So if I was to attack with those 4 dice, one of them was a wild. After this attack is resolved, this character can make an additional shield throw attack. This attack must target another character within 3 inches of the original target. So like you see in the films, the shield bounces off. So you'll get that a lot. If you've got a lot of characters that have those kind of symbols, they'll have an additional ability with, which obviously is different from one character to the next. One dice I did not roll with my amazing dice rolls is this. So this is the exploding dice. What does that mean? That means you can roll an additional dice. So let's say I was rolling 4 dice, and 2 of which were those symbols. I get to roll another 2 dice, which is pretty cool. So extra dice is always good, but these, you can call them crits if you like, add to successes as well. So yes, I got 2 dice there, which are 2 successes, and I got to roll 2 more dice. But these do not generate, if you've got another critical, these do not generate additional dice on top. So you can't start with 4 dice, let's say you rolled all 4 crits, you cannot gain more than 8 dice. So they do not explode twice. Once you've rolled them once, that is it. And shooting, like I said, or punching somebody using measurement sticks has to be within. Not wholly within, but within. So let's say I'm using a blast, then as long as it's touching the model, it can shoot the model. It doesn't have to be wholly within. So let's say Ultron doesn't have to be all the way in. You just touch it with this, and then you can target somebody. As long as you've got the energy, then you can. So defending works the same pretty much as attacking when rolling the dice. A defense symbol is good. So all characters work pretty much the same. So you could have 2 attacks, you could have a move and a move, or any combination of things like that. But if you've got enough energy, you can perform these. So these are your abilities. So abilities, sometimes they're free, sometimes they happen all the time, and they're passive. So for example here we have Ultron. So his passive abilities, for example, with this symbol here, this infinity symbol, is flight and immunity to bleed and poison, which makes sense because he's not really organic. So that can happen all the time. So that's his innate ability. Cap doesn't have anything like that, but he does have a leadership ability. Leadership abilities are quite special. So leadership abilities, not everyone will have. Anyone that, funny enough, could be a leader can have it. But it has an affiliation link to it. So he can only do this ability with the Avengers. So a team will work. You could have heroes and villains on the same team. So more than half the number of characters must be from the same affiliation. So for example, if you wanted this affiliation, more than half, so more than, let's say you had 10 models in the game, more than half of them has to be Avengers for him to do that, which is pretty good. So each turn you reduce the energy cost of the first superpower used by each allied character by 1 to a minimum of 1. That's pretty cool. So if the first person wants to spend a 2 energy, then it would only be 1, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So it's not game breaking, but it's pretty cool. And then you get symbols like this, which means you can spend that number of energy, in this case 2, or 2, That is a reaction. So when another allied character within 2 is targeted by an attack, this character may use its superpower. This character becomes a target of the attack regardless of range and line of sight. So that's pretty cool. Other symbols are this symbol, we're using Ultron again. So kinetic field generator costs 3, which is fairly expensive. Choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within 3 and throw it medium. This superpower can only be used once per turn. That's pretty nice. So you'll find that that is a reaction, those are permanent, and that is an action of a kind. But it's not the basic actions like punching or moving, it's an ability. So you could use that and then move and move, for example, or you can use that and strike, or any combination of. As long as you have energy, you can carry on doing these. You can use an action to shake. So, earlier on I mentioned the fact that Ultron is immune to bleed and poison. If any other character, for example, that wasn't immune to bleed or poison has bleed or poison on them, they can shake an effect. So, if you were attacked twice and you had 2 effects, you could shake twice. That's what you could do. So you have action, move, attack, your superpowers, and shakes. It's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty straightforward game, the core mechanics. But it's, once again, one of those synergy games. Certain things will act really nicely. So, for example, you could use Doctor Strange. Right, he's outside the core box, but you can use him. And you could teleport another model. You can put a teleport and models can move through. It doesn't have to be him. So certain things will stack really, really nicely. Maybe throwing another model into another model's what you want to go with, that's fine. Certain interactions are great. Throwing pieces of the train, like I said earlier on, is wonderful. So Hulk can pick up masses of terrain. You can pick up, let's say the Daily Bugle is size 3. He can pick up the Daily Bugle and he could throw that, for example. So when a piece of terrain is thrown at somebody, let's say it's size 3, it is 3 damage plus 1. So it's always plus 1 for any piece of terrain you throw at somebody. So let's say Ultron, and a piece of terrain thrown at him, it's size 3. So the damage is technically 4, because you always add plus 1. He rolls his 4 physical defense dice and see if he blocks any damage, which is pretty nasty. So that is the core abilities and the core mechanics of the game. Next, I will go into the cards and tokens. So, you could always just play a regular kill mission, but that would be boring in a game, right? So, Marvel Crisis Protocol has some crises going on, if that's even a word. And you need to score points to win the game. So it's the first one to 16 points wins in 6 turns. Fun enough, 6 turns here, 16 points there. And how do you score points, I hear you ask? So, previously I mentioned points for deployment. So these are the large number there. So if you've got a team of 10 models and they come to, let's say, 20 points, and you're playing one of these missions, you only use 17 points. You're going to have to do something to get it down to 17. So, obviously the core box is quite basic. It has 6 mission cards, and you're supposed to drop 1 randomly from each player, and then eventually you will pick 1 of each. So 1 would be the scoring on each side. So this is how you score this particular mission, and this is how you score this particular mission. And you need to set up the tokens for this mission with this one here, and this mission set up with this one here. So tokens will overlap. As an example, in the core rulebook, I say core rulebook, but the book that comes with the box set, I'll give you that as an example. So you can see it's 2 different types of tokens. So one is one mission, one is the other type of mission, and it's laid out like so. But I say core rulebook because this is only the learn to play. It gives an example inside, but it's not the full book. But it's okay, because the full book is actually on the website. So it's atomicmassgames.com/rules. I'll try to remember to put a link to it in the description below. And you can download the full rulebook from there. So the book that they give you in the game, it's not going to bamboozle you at all. It is the actual game, but it's a bit more clear with the full rule book, and it goes into it a bit further. So then you've got your mission, and you've got how the setup is deployed, and then you have these things here. So setup. Place 4 extremis consoles, target of opportunity, as shown on map D. That's map D, and it will tell you how to set them up. So it's pretty straightforward. So you've got your mat, and it's always played on a 3 foot by 3 foot table. So you can use good old-fashioned street neoprene mats, you can use your regular table, whatever you wish. I do like the fact that it's got some decent terrain selections in this core box, I really do. So from a building to a couple of cars, things like that. So that's how you set up the Riot's Spark Over Extremis. And then the other one is Struggle for the Cube Continues. So place 5 cosmic cube fragments, assets, as shown on map F, which is this one here. And guess what? 5. So it tells you the measuring sticks to use, where to place the fragments, which I find really, really simple and easy to use. So obviously this is the core box, and a lot more models have been released since, which it will tell you on the website. But you have, that'd be helpful if I do that, flip it over, right? So you have Cabal and Avengers. So straight out of the box, it gives you a few of the Avengers and a few of the Cabal. Now, I may have possibly bought 2 more models even before I open this box in the Cabal section, which you'll see in another unboxing later down the line. And as cool as the Avengers are, I am quite tempted to go for good old-fashioned X-Men. So I've seen the list of X-Men already out there, because Wolverine is a must. I'm really hoping they have a Colossus and Iceman on the way as well, because I think those characters are cool. But there's an example of some of the Cabal, some of the Avengers, and a few of those are already on there. 3 of them aren't in the game, and 4 of them aren't in the game here. So Hulk definitely isn't, Thor, Black Panther, and Vision. So then we come with the Team Tactics cards. So Team Tactics cards, let's pick a couple random. So they will have limitations to them. For example, this Cosmic Invigoration. Ooh la la. Cabal only, hence Cabal there, it's a good old keyword. So it's active if Red Skull is within 2 of any other allied character with an activated token. They may spend 2 energy to play this card. Remove the activated token from the allied character and roll 3 dice. For each eyesight's going, people, I'm an old man. Crit, wild, and hit. That character suffers 1 wound. Dun dun dun. But you know, that's pretty cool. They get to activate again. It's pretty nice. So these cards are once per game cards. When you use them, they're gone. So you can't pick them in secret either. You've got to tell your opponent what they are, as them is the rules. So Dark Rain Cabal only. Yes, you know already that I'm going to play the bad guys, aren't you? Active. Any Cabal character may spend 3 energy to play this card. Choose an enemy character. Allied Cabal characters may reroll any number of attack dice when attacking a chosen character this round. It's pretty cool, so if you really want to make an attack count, why not? And here's another random one. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but basically you pick these before the game, and then during the game you can use them once, and once only each. And once they're gone, they're gone. So Sucker, unaffiliated, active, when 2 allied characters are within 3 of the same injured enemy character, They may both spend any amount of energy to play this card. The enemy character loses energy equal to the total spent. Total energy spent. That's pretty cool. So basically, sucker, you literally suck energy from somebody. That's pretty cool. Smash! Gotta have that in there, right? Yeah, it's pretty good. So, in the basic game, if it's the first time you're ever playing, I would recommend using the mission that they suggest in the beginning of the Learn to Play book. So you get the feel of it, and then later on start using these cards. So you just get the feel of the basic rules. But that is it. It's pretty straightforward. Yes, killing models is great, but it's all about the objectives. So trying to get to the 16 points, or if it's end of turn 6, the one with the highest points wins. So yeah, it's a really, really good box set. I will assemble the models and paint them up for future, even though I probably will be playing some of the Avengers. I'll be concentrating more on Cabal. But yes, if you go on the website, you can see a full list of models they've got up already. So some fantastic models out there. So some big names like Thanos. Obviously you can equip him with the Infinity Gauntlet and start putting stones in there. But obviously the more stones you put in, the more expensive he will become. So remember, the more powerful a character, the higher points value they are. So if you've got a mission that says 17, I have seen a card in my brief rummage around in this game, not in this box, but I have seen a card that says 15. So that's pretty cool. So bear in mind, you've got low level characters like 4 points, 2 points, things like that. So you can get quite a good team going. But if you decide to go for Thanos with a few Infinity Stones, yeah, there's a few missions that's not really going to work for you. Unless you just want to play for fun, you just have Thanos, all the Infinity Stones, and you tell somebody to come at you. But the box set is fantastic. I really do like it. Yes, they are right. There is a load of tokens. So I have got myself a lovely case with a load of tokens inside now. So nice sorting compartments. So Marcus, I'm talking to you. So I haven't got a big box and just chucked all the tokens in. Speaking of Marcus, I wonder how long it's going to take him to realise, you've got this game, we've got to play it. Because he's got it. He's the one that got me into it. Even though I've been trying to resist it for a very, very, very long time. I haven't told him. I've been a bit of a sneak and I haven't told him I picked up the game. Because he's going to briefly mention it one day, and I'm just going to pop out a couple of painted models for Cabal. Oh, can I play these guys? And see the look on his face. Purely because of revenge. We played Aeronautica, and he told me he was playing one list, and it turns out, boom, he painted a whole another list. A whole another army, in fact. Supposed to be playing Imperials, and he rocked up with some Tau. So, it's sweet revenge. It's not evil. It's not malicious. It's just hobby revenge. But yes, really do rate this box set. So I'll show you Daily Bugle. That's the shop window, so you can see a till in there and some newspapers. I'm going to have a lot of fun painting that. So the quality is pretty good. The terrain obviously is not going to be like super detailed, but it's what I call tabletop standard, and it is comic book ready. It's pretty good is what I'm saying. It's pretty good. It's a nice hard plastic, so none of those bendy horrible plastics. So for example, a little bit of detail here, the Red Skull. I say it's not bad because the detail on the face, if I can pick that up, is okay. It's pretty good. It's not extraordinary, it's pretty good. I would say it's probably about a 8 out of 10. It's good. It's good. It's good quality plastic. No bendy plastic. No horrible nasty resin. So I thoroughly recommend pick up this box. It's not super expensive. I think ballpark figure anywhere from like 70 quid. 80 quid, 90 quid, something like that. It depends on the discount you can get in hobby, because I know a lot of us can. But it's a brilliant box. For 10 models, it's a pretty fun game, and you don't often get 2 missions the same, which is always nice, because you have one card picked by somebody, you have another card picked by someone else, and if you buy additional characters, they come with additional tokens and additional missions. So if you stick to the basic box, there's a few different mission combinations, true, but if you start buying characters, it really does encourage you to pick up different models, purely because you can have different missions and things like that. So that's how they get you, people. That's how they get you. Low buy-in, and makes you want to buy really, really cool models. How dare they produce some excellent models with more variants to the game if you want to use those different missions. How dare they produce such good products. But what I really like I said at the very beginning, it is a comic book variant of Marvel, because I'm really tempted with like Mr. Sinister, for example, one of my favourite comic book Marvel villains that isn't in any of the films. So it'd be nice to see him out. There's some fantastic models. Like, I was never a fan of Sabretooth in the films, but Sabretooth in the comics I always thought was wicked, and this new model is no exception. So fantastic models, clear and precise rules, and it reminds me of my childhood reading a lot of Marvel comics. So Marvel, tick. Nice models, tick. Great rule set, tick. It's not massively expensive. You'll find it's about 25 to about 30 quid for a box of an additional model. Sometimes they have 2 models in a pack. So Hulk, for example, was on his own. If you were to buy Black Panther, you have Killmonger with it, for example. So the prices are about 25 to 30 quid. Presumably they've priced that up for amount of plastic in a kit or amount of cards, things like that. I don't know how the pricing works, but it's not unaffordable. But if you were to rush out and buy 10 models for this game that wasn't from the Crisis Protocol core box, yeah, that possibly wouldn't be cheap. But this is a good starting box, and you can add a model here or there, or even keep what's in the box, because it's a nice selection. It is proper heroes and villains. So everything that I've gone through today obviously is in the Learn to Play book, and also what I like is near the back of the book it gives you a little bit of a blurb of each of the characters. So from Iron Man, a bit of background, Captain America, all the characters in this box, which is really cool. So if you don't know and you haven't had much experience in Marvel, be it the films or the comics, because some of these characters are not in the films, then that's pretty nice. So it's not just for the hardcore fans. And then you have your assembly instructions, which would be pretty helpful for the miniatures. Not that I don't think any of them are massively complicated. And what bases they go on, and also the terrain. So you can turn a car into a taxi with a little taxi symbol on the top. It's pretty cool. Nice little add-on to it. Some lampposts, dustbin, and dumpsters. On the back, it also has the quick reference. So what your dice do, your attack sequence, power phase, activation phase, clean up. So it's really, really well presented. Like I said, this is just a Learn to Play book. The main book is free online. And it does explain things a little bit clearer. But this is just basically for your first few games and how to assemble your miniatures. Right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope I made sense and didn't ramble on too much, just because I'm excited about this game. And hopefully you'll see some battle reports in future of Marvel Crisis Protocol.